Welcome to the Support is Sexy podcast. I'm your host, Elaine Fluker, executive coach for high performing women. Join me for inspiring conversations with over 500 women leaders around the world as they share how they excelled in their careers or launched successful businesses and the important role that support played along the way. Because as we always say, having it all does not mean doing it all alone. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so happy to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And I will tell you, one of the things that I mentioned in the last episode, I believe, or the first episode back, I'll say, is how I was so excited to get back to recording the Support is Sexy podcast because I love having these conversations. That's it. I want to make it about you all. It's all about sharing information with you. It's all about hopefully inspiring you. Yes, there's that. But for selfish reasons, I love having conversations with these incredible women in all parts of the world. And how much I will share with you that the conversations, many of them lift me up as well. Again, being selfish. But I get so much from the honesty, the transparency, the way that some of these women who I know personally, like our guest today, actually see me, and them being able to see me in the moment of our conversation and to speak joy and life into me. Because listen, for all of us, there are days when you just trying to keep pushing through, right? Things happen, you bounce back, you get knocked down. Well, they say not get knocked down 9, get up 10. Is that how it goes? Gotta keep going. But you also, or I feel like I also have to acknowledge this was a hard day. This was a hard conversation. This was whatever it was. And then to be able to show up and have conversations with people like my friend and our guest today, Cole Baker-Bagwell, is just so amazing and such truly a gift. So I'm excited to share our conversation today. Cole is a professional coach for women. She helps women know how to get over their limiting beliefs and dismantle them, how to tap into your divine feminine. We talk about the obstacles that a lot of us go through trying to get to that point where we're redefining our success and what success really means to us. Cole also talks about the constants, what really matters to you, how to get clear on that. Mindset. We talk a lot about mindset in this episode. And really, I love that we talk about mindset, the theory of mindset, if you will, but also practical, reality-based ways that mindset plays an important role in your life. The times that we're in right now are uncertain, but we also talk about how uncertainty is a constant. It's just, in Cole's words, more pronounced right now. So I really felt like this was a powerful conversation for me, but in the feedback that I'm getting from a lot of my executive coaching clients that I talk to, they feel uncertain. They don't know what the next step is. They're not sure what they should be doing. A lot of us get caught up with that, right? What should I be doing, or how can I do more? And what Cole and I talk a lot about today is deciding what really matters to you, also looking at what you've already done and giving yourself credit for what you've already done. And Cole also shares 3 important steps that you can take to reinvent yourself. All right, so there's a lot of great stuff in here. I know you're going to enjoy it. I can't wait to hear your feedback on it. So without further ado, here's my conversation with growth mindset coach Cole Baker-Bagwell. So Cole, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm so happy to have you back on the Support is Sexy podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. You are an absolute delight of a woman and human and smart and funny and just absolute delight. So it's a great way to spend part of my day. I love being with you, Elaine.
Thank you so much. So I want to ask you, we're living in uncertain times right now, and this is affecting, people from all different walks of life, people depending on, actually, I feel like it doesn't even depend on what kind of quote unquote job you have. Everyone has been impacted in one way or another, just speaking to the times and the sort of uncertainty that we're all living with right now, no matter where you are. This is my perspective. Tell me if you disagree.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, though, one of the things that you coach professional women in particularly about is developing a growth mindset, which is something probably most of us or most of the listeners here have heard of. But why would you say that might be more important than ever during a time of uncertainty?
Yeah. God, that's a great question. So, truth be told, I think life is a time of uncertainty. It's
So true.
dynamic. Yeah, it's dynamic. I mean, you and I are different people in this second than we will be 5 seconds from now, literally on a cellular level. Like we're changing all the time. And our conditions, environmental conditions, set and setting, partnerships, jobs, age, like it's all changing. Weather, my God, we had snow here, one day and the next day it was 80 degrees. And so there's this dynamic nature of life that could lead to uncertainty. Okay. And I know it is pronounced now. I am not immune to any of the things that are going on. But what I would say is that the growth mindset, no matter what the dynamic change is, the uncertainty, it allows you to be in that space of possibility. And for me, it allows me to be very present as well with the other truth of what is that I am here, I am well, like, and look around myself and see the goodness, the blessings in this world, and not harp on, so much of the stuff that, God, it's going off the rails. I know. But that's what growth mindset is for me. It's where do I see the possibility? And in this moment, I think it's especially important because it's where do we see the possibility to, make our neighbor's life better, a little better, or bring a smile to their face, or um, find some joy in the world, or scatter that joy glitter somewhere. Um, that's possible too. So
Yes.
perspective, yeah,
Perspective. And I think thank you for sharing that in that way, especially because it's one of those things is truth, like they say about change is the only constant. It sort of reminded me of that
yeah,
phrase about uncertainty is always there as we live our lives every day. When you wake up, well,
yeah,
even waking up in the morning, right? Even that's not a certainty, but once you
no,
do, your day is
yeah,
always uncertain. And I think in your words, you mentioned it being perhaps more pronounced for people right now, but maybe a
yeah,
level of acceptance or awareness can come from this idea of actually it's always there, but it's more
yeah,
pronounced now. And then I would say what you made me think of is what can I do to remember to hold to the things that I either am certain of or want to be certain of. If I want to be certain that I'm going to approach things with a growth mindset, or I want to be certain
yeah.
that I'm going to stick to these particular values no matter what's happening around me and those kinds of things. Is that something we can do too?
Yeah, absolutely. I call that your constants. So uh, I have this cool little exercise I did years ago when, I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago, Elaine, when I got divorced from my son's father. And it was, really uncertain times. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
woo, it was a lot of uncertainty. So I came up with this, I think it was like a self-preservation technique, but I drew a circle. And inside of that circle, because everything outside of me was changing. And some things inside of me were changing too. But inside of that circle, I captured what was true for me amid all the change that certainly was at the time. And those things became my anchors. So things like, um, I enjoy reading. I love a good sunset. I like sipping a great glass of wine at night. I, have this incredible love for people and for animals. And so these things are true to me no matter what happens on the outside, no matter what the world is doing. Like that's what's true for me. And so that became my anchor. And that's what we're talking about here, right? It's like we have our mindset is the greatest point of control, period, full stop. We have the opportunity to choose our mindset in every single moment, in every single situation. And so we can choose to dwell on, things that cause us a lot of frustration and stress and anxiety, anger even. And we can also choose to focus on what you just described. Where can I show up and make a difference? Me, my little one human self on this planet. Where is that possible? And P.S., I'll also share I do not live in a land of unicorn and rainbows, right? I hold both of those truths at the same time, that awareness at the same time. But the growth mindset allows me to activate on the optimism.
Yes, and I love that the things that you mentioned didn't come from the space of, like you said, unicorn and rainbows, or also from the space of this certainty has to be around, well, this is my clear purpose. And this, I mean, if you
Yeah.
got that, that's great. But sometimes not even that lofty. It's, I enjoy a glass of red wine. I am
Yeah.
certain that that is something that I enjoy, or I enjoy reading. I am certain this is something that brings me joy or helps me relax or those kinds of things. So I think that's important for women, especially to remember, give
Yeah.
yourself space to just be certain about the things that bring you joy. Sometimes it's that simple, easy, or that accessible to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. The constants are a game changer. I was coaching a woman recently, and when we debriefed about her exercise, she got really emotional. And of course, we dove right into that. What's
Hmm.
going on there? What's under the hood of that emotion? And it was really touching what she shared with me. She said, I realized how many things I had to move out of the inside of my circle. And that made me really sad because she realized that her attachment to people, titles, whatever, those things are changing. That's uncertain from day to day, right? Minute to minute. And so moving that out in that visual way was really powerful for her. But on the flip side of it, she got super clear on what she did know about herself, like the truth of herself. And that brought another type of tears into the situation. So yeah, it's choice all day long.
One of the other things that you talk about, it sounds like you mentioned too in their conversation with this client, is this idea of us redefining success for ourselves. And I
Oh
think in
yeah.
the same way you said with relationships or the change, the uncertainty and things that are out there, we're constantly changing. I believe too, and maybe it's just at this wonderful stage of life, we're constantly redefining ourselves or rethinking what does this mean to me, what really matters to me. And you mentioned that
Yeah.
about success. Can you tell us why it's important for us to do that too?
Yeah, I mean, my God, you've done it a million times, Elaine.
I
Redefine
know.
success, you know, like really. So here's the net of it for me is that I call it the big lie. And it was not maliciously given to me or put on me. But when I was growing up, I was led to believe with all good intention, because my mother will listen to this, so I want to be clear about this, with all good intention that success looked and felt a very specific way. And it was attached to, my grades in school when I was young, whether or not I graduated from high school, which I did, kind of college I got into, what I majored in, how successful, quote unquote, successful I was in college, what kind of job I had after that, what kind of title I had, how much money did I have. It was all of that, and it was given to me in that way because my mother wanted the best for me and my sisters, just like we all do when we have kids, right? I want the same for my kid too. But that turned out to not be what success meant to me. And I didn't realize that until I was in my late 40s. And thank God I did, because I realized I was like, oh my God, I'm on this wheel running for titles and money and all the crap that, like, clothes in my closet and all the stuff that doesn't matter. And I had this very big moment where the universe gave me an opportunity to reset and rethink all of that. And it was when my dad got in this massive accident, 90% bleed across his brain. And I was sitting with him and I realized, I was like, girl, you are ridiculous. Look at you on your laptop handling all these meetings while your dad is like dying in front of you. And it was this moment of awakening, Elaine, that I'm so damn grateful for, because now success to me looks like this. It looks like hanging out and spending time with my people. It looks like having a great night's sleep, enjoying what I do every single day for work. How many times I get to go outside and pet my dog and see my people. I mean, it's those things. And some of that I guess comes with age, maybe, but I'll tell you what, the Gen Z folks that I know, my son's one of them, they already have this figured out and it is awesome.
Yes, I agree. I feel like that too with that generation, especially it's like that there's Gen Xer here. So
Yeah.
knowing the, that drive, the success, this is what it means. This is how you get it. Your parents made the way for you to be able
Yep.
to do these things, whereas the other generations still are, I believe, some people try to say not ambitious. I don't believe that. I think their ambitions are different. Their ambition is
Yes.
to go out and pet your dog and enjoy the time and to take time off and vacation if you want, or hang around it's just a different kind of view of success. So
Yeah.
like you mentioned, we're a lot of us may be redefining it at our stage. If you're, 45 and older, I would certainly say 50s, while the younger ones are defining it in a new way for themselves, which I think will end
Yeah.
up beautiful for all of us because we all exist in the same world if we can redefine success in these different ways.
I think so too. I mean, I'll tell you what, I was a little concerned about the millennials, to be fair. Um, and I think some of that was our fault, to be
Mhm.
honest.
Mhm.
But I see these Gen Z kids and young adults, and they're so socially aware. They are globally aware of what's happening, but not just aware, they actually are so compassionate and empathetic, and they want to create change. And they are saying, I don't care about the house. I don't care about the car. I can live in this community. We can share an, oh, P.S. I don't have two nickels to rub together, but you can have one of mine, like a half of the one I have. And so it's
Right.
like such an amazing mindset. It's this like, I am here, part of the fabric of this world, instead of, I grew up like in my teenage years in the 80s, because I'll say 50s because I am so proud and happy to be here. I embraced the heck out of my 50s. But in the 80s, oh my gosh, it was like the big bag cell phones and all about me, me, me. How much crap can I accrue? That's the mindset I grew up with when I was young, but not these people. These people have got it right. And yeah, I love them. They're ambitious to live their life in a real way
And
and
to make
not
a
aligned.
difference.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like a
yeah.
lot of them, or whatever that looks like, whether it's, what they share or how they share or use their, everyone has a platform now, or so they have access to so much more information. I remember, hey, 52 here as of yesterday, the time of this recording. Had a birthday
Happy
yesterday. Thank you. I
birthday.
just turned 52, yes. And I remember watching this
Wow.
documentary recently, and this young woman was on there, Gen Z. It was a group of them, but they were speaking about climate change, for example. And I don't know, what else I don't know if they were in college. They were pretty, I can't remember what age they were. She was in tears about climate change, which is, it's horrible to think of. On the other side of that, I was like, she is so passionate and
Yeah,
compassionate and so concerned. This is just something that is so important. It's just a level of, and of course, there's different people going to care about different things, but just
yeah,
even witnessing that, I was like, wow, that is a true, that's what comes to mind when you talk about the things that are important. And any of us can choose what that thing looks like for us. Like we said, it could be something
yeah,
simple. You're going outside, you're getting your fresh air, you're doing those things. What I love that you said too is that the redefining of success doesn't always mean raising the bar, some of the terms we grew up with, right? Raising the bar, going after more, doing this.
no.
Like the
Hell
bar is
no.
fine. Walk away from the bar. No one touch the bar, right? Success
Yeah,
is the things that we mentioned, defining what's important to you. What do you think then, now that we spoke about that, what for a lot of whoever the people are who are super ambitious, and it is about maybe the raising the bar mentality, if you will, what stands in our way? Why are some of us afraid to sort of make that mental shift, mindset shift around what does success really mean to me and what it
yeah.
should look like?
That's a great question. And I think it's a little different for everybody. I want to comment on that bar for a minute. In my humble estimation of my own life, I have raised the bar for me because I didn't, and I think this goes back to answering the question that you just offered me, Elaine, is that I think um, some of it is the way we're raised. Some of it is the identities that we hold on to, the things that make us feel good about ourselves that are external to who we are, the titles, the money, the crap we accumulate. I'm thinking of Swedish death cleaning right now. It just popped into my mind and how useless all of these things are. But then also I think there is this not really understanding what we deserve. And sometimes for women, I think it can be difficult for us to give ourselves permission to understand we deserve to come first. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to sleep well. We deserve to feel well. We deserve to like live our life any way we damn well please. And we don't have to have all of the other things layered on top of us to make us better or to make us worthy or valuable. So, and part of it is societal. It's like this whole idea of, doing. I actually I know people, and I remember myself when I was raising my son when he was a little guy, a baby, up until about the time he was 4. I had this amazing opportunity to exit the working world, the one I get paid to work in, and enter the working world of being a mama. And people would say to me like, "Well, what else do you do?" I was like, "Have you ever raised a child? That's like a 29-hour a day job, okay?
Right.
And I don't have to explain any of this to you." But I think
Right.
that's part of it. I think that's part of it. It's that comfort, and I think it goes back to what we talked to at the very start. It's that comfort and understanding ourselves so well that we give ourselves permission to actually enjoy this thing called life and raise that bar really, really high. So it has nothing to do with any of the other crap we concern ourselves with.
And I think get comfortable too with deciding for us what is that's enough. Like some people think like what else do you do? What else are you creating? What else are you building? It's all about producing, producing. We're not even just producing output and show me, show me, show me in the world
Yeah,
that we live in today. So it's like, and what else? And what else? And what else? Like this is enough. Raising my son is more than, like you said, a 29-hour day job, more
yeah,
than enough. And you get to decide. What about this idea you and I talked about offline or off
yeah,
podcast of reinvention during this time in our lives? What does
yeah,
that look like for you? And how do we even give our sort of ties into this redefining success, knowing,
yeah,
sticking to your core, what your values are, what really matters to you, and also being courageous enough, I would say, to reinvent at this time. Which sometimes could mean, let me know if you agree, sometimes it could mean a thing you dreamt of and thought was your everything. It's changed, or you decided that's no longer it and you want to make a change. And I think some of us get stuck in, but this is what I said I was going to do, or this is who I said I was. What did you do as far as if you were to give us maybe 3 steps or 3 important things that you learned about when you were making the change or deciding to reinvent or shifting your focus and that kind of thing? If people are looking for something like, these are 3 things I can do today or 3 ways I can get myself moving forward. I ask it in that only in that way because sometimes I think people feel stuck, or at least I won't even say I think.
yeah,
I've been
for
hearing from a
sure.
lot of clients that I work with that I'm stuck. And this is, women who are, like we said, quote unquote, successful or have things go. I'm at this point, I'm at this thing. I just feel like there's something, and more doesn't mean necessarily, more mass or not more in number, but just a
Yeah,
more kind of feeling. And that might involve a reinvention, but people just feel stuck.
yeah. Okay, so I'll give you 3 steps. I'll give you
Okay.
isn't there a song about
Or
that?
three
Give me
things.
3
Is it?
steps, give me 3 steps. Isn't that a
I
song?
don't know. I don't know.
Give me 3 steps, give me 3 you know what I'm talking
Maybe
about. Anyway,
it
is it
might
maybe
be.
like I don't know, it's like a country band, like Leonard I don't know, Leonard Skinner or something, it just
Now I'm
popped
gonna
into my
have to
brain.
look it up and see what the song is because now I'm gonna be thinking
I
about it.
think it's "Give Me 3 Steps," I think that's the name of it.
That's
Anyway,
it. Then
alright,
give us three
so
steps.
yeah, okay, so I think the first thing is a little visualization. So imagine that you could do anything, you could spend not do, you can spend 8 hours doing anything in the world. Dream big like you would when you were 5. What do you come up with? So that's one piece because that helped me get really clear about which direction to point my arrow. And it was fun. It was really, really fun. And you and I love Barbara Bijou and her visioning every year. So this is now like a part of my life every single year because every day is a little reinvention for me. Um, Step 2 is very practically if you're going to reinvent your career and you're going to be moving to a career where it would be less financially lucrative, um, practically look at your finances because there's nothing worse aside from health stress, than financial stress. So look at your finances. And this is something we did in my household. I mean, we learned to live like off of 1/10 of what I earned. We did just fine. So it's looking at, where is the extra going out the door? Where have you got extra in your closet? And that goes back to like getting really clear about what do you value at this point in your life. So I think that's step 3 is getting clear on what you value, because in my personal experience, when I spent some time thinking about dared to think about what would I do for 8 hours if I could choose anything in the world, like what brings me joy. And then I got really practical about the financial part of it. And then I was super clear and connected to the values that I have for this stage of my life for me. The picture starts to become a lot clearer, and it's easier to take that courageous step, whatever it is, whether it's, leaving a relationship, starting a relationship, leaving a career you've had for 20 years and saying, oh, I'm going to go open, a little music shop somewhere. I mean, you did a whole life 180. I mean, look at you. You're living your dream in Mexico. And so it's all of that. It's being willing. For me, it was being willing to give up, admittedly, the comfort that I found in the title and all the things that came with it, and getting really comfortable with kind of standing naked in all of that, and learning who I was. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And that description, that last line of getting comfortable standing naked wherever you are, that's the idea of
Yeah.
it. It's funny because when you mentioned about me relocating to Mexico, which I've been now since December of 2022, but part of it, one thing I would offer to people too is if it is something that is going to require a big change, you can do a big change to your life, I should say. You can do a test run. So for
Yeah.
me, that was coming to Mexico. I'd come to visit, plenty of times come to party, but living, and I always say grocery shopping, doing laundry, all those things. It's very different. I came in October, and because I'm able to work from anywhere, I stayed in a place for a month. A friend had another friend who was going out of town. I rented their apartment for a month. I was in a neighborhood. I got a feel for what might this actually be like. And it's okay, I would say to people, to experiment with whatever that thing is and decide, you know what? No, that's actually not a good fit for me. I'm going to look
Right.
into something else. I think hopefully that's something that people can think about, whether certainly it's moving outside of the country, but in any case, give yourself, and maybe it'll give you more freedom to dream in the way that you mentioned. Just sort of open yourself up if you don't think about, oh no, that won't, the limiting beliefs, which I want to ask you about, right? Oh no, that won't work, or that'll never work, or I couldn't do that. We get into all these reasons why it won't work. And it's like, well, how could it work if you just tried it for this amount of time? What are the kind of things you would dream about if you knew you could test it out a little bit, if possible? And I think things are more accessible to testing than we think sometimes, these big life changes.
For sure they are. And I mean, I remember when you made the announcement, like, I'm in Mexico. I was like,
And you're like,
whoa,
what?
you're going to Mexico. It was such a cool life choice. I was like, and now every time I see you, you're like, wearing this sundresses, and we're all
Right.
bundled up and looking like, it's like we're on the
Right.
tundra somewhere, and you are just glowing and beautiful, and it's clearly worked out for you.
Thank
Another
you.
little thought popped up for me, and this is a growth mindset moment. Instead of focusing on what you're going to lose, ask yourself, like, what can I gain by doing this? Like, what, and this goes back to what you've just mentioned. And I think that's what jogged my thinking, Elaine, was, um, we're programmed for negative bias. Our brains are just wired that way. But when we ask ourselves, like, what could go right? What am I gaining? What's possible that I haven't experienced up until now? There's Barbara again, by the way. Um,
Yes.
that is such, it opens up the door for that dreaming, that visualizing, that daring to consider that you could live a life that you just really are tickled pink about in Mexico or wherever. So I think that's really important. It's like, well, I'm going to walk away from this job and I'm going to lose this income. Okay, what's the flip side of that story? What are you going to gain? Right?
Right. And
Yeah,
what might I love that, and what you might not even need anymore if you make a certain kind of change. So for me, and this is very specific example, but still, it's just sort of like my living as far as where I am, the sunshine, the things that really matter to me, being outside,
yeah,
luxury at a certain level is very different than what it would cost me in California, where I
sure.
can still, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, I might lose being in the States or have access to certain things or those kinds of things, but actually what I gain lifestyle wise, and I'm not even talking about just, pretty places and that's all great. You get a great condo, you get whatever those things, but also just access to the things that really matter to me. The beach is here, being outside a lot more. So
Yeah,
to your point, it's like what really looking outside of even the quote unquote things or the material things, I will say, what are some of the other things you go, I have a lot more peace of mind here, which doesn't mean that nothing, things still go wrong as they do. The world is still the world.
sure.
But I'm always like, I will tell you, be honest with you all, even if I'm crying, I'm doing it outside by the beach, by the pool. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
Cry
if
by
I'm
the
going to cry,
pool.
I'd rather
Yeah,
cry by the pool than, in my basement apartment in wherever or some gloomy place, etc. Right? You do what you have to do. But that was one of those things that everything's a trade-off, was a trade-off for me of what do I want life to look like. And for all of you, considering what really matters to you at this stage. Would you say
yeah,
too, Cole, one of the things I've learned is important, again, being a woman in my 50s, and I think we all have considerations. I think as you get older, they might hold us back a lot more than when you're in your 20s. I always people say, I can't because of this, because of that, because of this, which I would never say ignore those things when you're making a change. But it's like, those are considerations as opposed to something that would stop you necessarily from doing. A lot of times we let things that you need to consider. So for me, for example, with moving, my parents at the time were both alive and in Atlanta, and I was there with them. I wanted to
right.
make sure they were in a safe place where they had full-time care and protected, and it was close enough to me. I'm like only a couple hours flight. I could be there in the afternoon. I had done that, but that was a very big consideration. Whereas it's not necessarily, I can't do this because of this
Yeah,
reason. So that's something else that we all, a way to even, and that's a growth mindset thing, I think. What are the
yeah, for sure.
possibilities, as you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier?
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's such a great example that you just gave because your parents, you love them dearly. They were, it was a priority for you to make sure that in the wake of this exciting decision you were making for yourself to move to Mexico, that these people who raised you, that they were going to be okay and that you could reach them if they needed you. And so what you just described doing was you worked a plan. You didn't say, I can't go because my parents are aged.
Hmm.
You worked the plan and you said, okay, if I put this piece here and this piece here, does that get me to a place where I feel like I can take a deep breath and that they're okay? And the answer was yes. So those self-limiting beliefs, I think part of it is habit. I don't think I know brain science shows us that thought patterns are habits. And we can recreate the habit though anytime we want to, which is the beautiful news. I mean, every second can change your mind. It's beautiful. So part of it is that. Part of it is again waiting for that external approval or has a friend of yours done something like this? If not, if you're
Hmm.
surrounded by a bunch of friends who are living like the safe life, that is not a growth zone. That comfort zone is not a growth zone. And so the chances that you're going to, be bold enough to say, I'm moving to Mexico when you live like in that world, pretty slim. Pretty slim because what you talk about so masterfully all the time is support is sexy and you
That's
got to
right.
have you got to have that support network around you to encourage you. Go for it. Take a chance. I'm cheering you on even if you bump your ass. I'm going to be here cheering you on, right? So it's that's part of it too. And yeah, that's what throws the obstacles up. I mean, there are real ones like the ones you described, but your example again was so gorgeous because you talked about I call it tuning the dial. You just tune the dial from it being a non-starter to being a puzzle to be solved.
Yes, a
right?
puzzle to be solved. Yes. And I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned about too the circle, the people that you have around you. I think sometimes, and I've said this before, I mentioned this in my book, even this anchors versus engines kind of thing. And sometimes
Yeah.
we think, right, the anchors are the quote unquote haters or people. And I would say those are actually people that are probably easier for you to ignore. Usually it's the people closer to you, your friends, your circle. And even though they're trying to protect you or keep you safe, or are you sure you want to do that? Or that's crazy, or what about this and that? It's like these, okay, these people are, but though they might not be your engines for this particular change that you want to make. Or you and I talked about where people are like, are you sure you want to do? They're just not hiring people in their 50s. This will never, are you sure? Right? You and I
Yeah,
talked
oh
about
my
it's like, well, that's
God.
probably people who know you, who you'd be like, girl, you're supposed to support me, but they're speaking from their own fear.
Yes, yes, you just hit such an important point. All of us have what I call under the hood dynamics,
Hmm.
and they are those old stories that create self-limiting beliefs, those false narratives that just they usually don't take us down a happy road, let's be honest. They keep us between, it stands between us and our potential every single time. So, those people that are saying, "Are you sure? I don't know. I'm not sure that's gonna work out. What if, what if, what if? What if you like somebody mugs you? What if like you don't make it or you get lonely or you won't be able to come back here?" It's like all of that. Well, that's their stuff showing up. And usually it has not much to do with you unless you're just like somebody who's attempted a lot of things and failed quite a lot and it hasn't quite worked out yet. Maybe there's some wisdom coming from your friend at that point. But otherwise, I think it's a lot of like them thinking to themselves, I could never do this, or I don't want to lose her. She's so important to me. And how will I cope on the other side of this change? Or wait a second, this
Mm.
person has enough courage to do something and then that is kind of shining the light on me remaining, kind of status quo. It's
Mm.
all of that. It's those under the hood dynamics, that mindset that's going on that fuels a lot of that conversation.
Yes, that's so powerful because I think too, as we said, whether this is that usually it is a well-meaning person, they're not even aware that this is where this is coming from, right? That this is
Yeah.
why they're like you
Oh,
said, this fear of, oh, but you're leaving me or I'll be behind or I'm going to miss you. But that comes out as,
yeah.
but what if for me it's always, what if the cartel, blah blah. I'm like, the cartel doesn't care about me, just so you know. They don't care about me here in my little place in Playa del Carmen. They don't care. But it's always this
Yeah.
immediately going to this sort of fearful space of what's the thing that'll make you not do this thing and stay. And sometimes we don't realize where that's coming. And we all have that spot within us, but I think the awareness, self-awareness we're talking about here, your mindset, you get to make a choice, like you said, every single second. Where is what you share, your energy, how you think? Where is all of that coming from? Are you coming from a place of fear? And a lot of the people who say you can't do it have never even attempted anything like it. It's like, are you telling me you
Yeah.
can't do the things to be aware of from experience? Because the ones I actually talked to who had made this particular change with moving, maybe it didn't work out for them. They were able to share why it didn't work for them, or they were able to share what to look out for. Those are the kind of people, and sometimes that's in a Facebook group, or I don't know about Facebook right now, but that's in a certain kind of group or a different
Yeah. I don't know
setting.
about Facebook
I don't know
either.
about that right now. I know, take that back. But a different kind of place where you can get in communities of people who have either at least attempted something, a change you're trying to make, a career change, etc. Hear about people who have had the experiences, and then you can make your own decisions.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also there's this like attachment we have to it's got to work out. Guess what? I can plan to walk across the street to the grocery store. I can put on my best shoes to like my most stable shoes. I can lace them up. I can look both ways and I could still get hit by somebody riding a scooter. So it's like, was that my fault that it didn't work out or that the plan didn't happen? Does it mean I'll never walk to the store again? No. It just means in that moment, fine. Life is dynamic. It's uncertain. There's no
Mhm.
guarantee anything we do is going to work out. Who cares? Dust yourself off, sister, and keep walking, right? So that attachment keeps coming up of, Well, if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna have egg on my face in front of all the people who told me it wouldn't work out. So buttons, Mary, who cares? Like, just keep walking.
But at least you
Follow.
tried it. At
Yeah,
least
you
you
have the
tried it.
courage to try. Exactly. Exactly. One of my best friends says to me, she is my best friend in the world. Her name is Buck, and we've known each other, God, so very long. And she has always been there cheering me on. I mean, she's thrown up the caution flag a few times, but in our life together. But she says to me now, she's like, Cole Baker-Bagwell, when you put your mind to something, you just do it. And I feel, the same emotions everybody else has, but I'm real clear on why I'm making the choice. And I believe in me. And I know that I've got at least one best friend in my corner who's going to be there to wrap her arms around me and pick me up off the street if I do butt my butt. So that's okay. It's okay.
Yes, I love it. Shout out to the speaking, rounding it out with support, right? Support is sexy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the best friends. I have some of my closest girlfriends from college at Hampton University. Most of them are not entrepreneurs, whereas I have been now for the past decade or so. So I always tell people how when I'm talking about something, or I'm going to try this, or I'm going to move, whatever it is, I tend to be the one that's going to try something outside of the norm. They're always like, all right, girl, well, if anybody could do it, you can. All right, well, I'll be here. Let me know if you need to. You always know
Right?
you can come back. There's that. It's not, it doesn't have to be, oh, yes, it never actually, oh, yes, you'll get it perfect. It's all going to work out, etc.
No.
They can send me your location so I know where you are. What I mean? They don't say, it's like just we do those are the things like they're not it's not all like you said rainbows etc but still those are the friends the support circle that are really there to be there for you if it doesn't work out and that's okay.
Yeah, and you're a source of inspiration to them. They're like, "Oh, our friend Elaine, whoa, she's living her life big," you know? And so you're an inspiration to them too, in the same way that they inspire you to keep going. And by the way, I wanna tell you, you haven't tried anything. You're doing it.
I'm doing it, thank
Yeah,
you.
you're not
Sometimes we
trying it.
forget that too. We don't give ourselves the credit, grace or credit.
Exactly. Trying Dr. Ellen Langer, who is amazing, this crazy cool woman I met, she said to me, "Trying implies failure." And she's right. Think about it, like, you
Mm,
didn't try to move to Mexico, you didn't try out a new life, you didn't try to become an entrepreneur, you became an entrepreneur, you moved to
mm,
Mexico, like, you did these things. Now, if it doesn't work out, you can say, "Hey, I moved to Mexico, this part didn't quite work out." It doesn't mean you didn't do it, you did. You did it,
mhm,
and that's that other piece, right? Like, and I think, Elaine, that's what keeps, like, certain people from actually jumping in to the dream that they have for themselves, and other people kind of waiting for somebody else to give them permission or for the conditions to be right for them to jump in that dream. It's that trying mentality just holds them back, and so I'll just bring that to your attention, like, you're just doing it every
mm.
day. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. I needed to hear that today.
You're
That's like a
welcome.
miss. Yeah, it came through right on time. That I really need to hear that today. And I think a lot, hopefully all of you who will listen to this, remember to look at the things that you've done and celebrate yourself, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be a move somewhere, or it could be a move, whether a position or a change you're making, like we're talking about redirecting yourself, redefining yourself, having a certain mindset around that. And even the best of us, even
Yes.
myself, right? We forget sometimes. So we need people, I need a Cole in my life. We need people like that to remind us sometimes, girl, listen, you have done it. These are the things you're doing when
Yeah.
especially during times when other things necessarily aren't working out the way that you plan. Like I've had some calls this morning. It's like, okay, that's not working out. Now what? It's like, there are a lot of things that are working out. There are a lot of things that you've done. Like that
Yeah.
almost makes me misty to hear that. So thank you for your ability to always tap into what needs to be said in the moment. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I mean, things
Yeah.
are so a girlfriend of mine, her name is Elizabeth, and she's here in North Carolina. She is just amazing. She said this, shared one of her little mantras with me that I really appreciated. And she said, "Everything's already working out. Everything's already working out." And when we dug into that for a minute, I said, "Tell me more about that statement, that mantra, Elizabeth." And she said, "In those moments where I'm not sure, it is my profession of faith. Everything, universe has got me. Everything is already working out behind the scenes. It's like Garth Brooks' song, like moons ago, unanswered prayers, thank God for unanswered prayers. It's like those things that we focus on, pray for, want so deeply in our lives, and they don't work out, whether it's a person or a job or whatever, right? Whatever it is, the promotion. And we realize the blessing of that if we're paying attention, if we can focus our mindset, that growth mindset, like, what was the good thing that came out of me not having that prayer answered? Yeah.
Cole, you're not going to make me cry on this podcast, Cole. Thank you.
You can go down by the
That's great.
pool. You
I
can go to the pool.
know. It's perfect. Perfect. That's a perfect way to end. That's perfect. Cole, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I think this certainly, I will say, selfishly, this is the conversation I needed to have, which our conversations are always like that, but this is
I
the
know, I love
conversation
you.
I love you too. I love you too. And thank you for sharing in the way that you always do. Thank you for showing up as you are in the ways that you've always been, and then the ways that you've reinvented yourself and been able to share that with even more people. So I'm excited I want to put this up right away today. I'm excited to share this conversation. I think it's
Thank
one that,
you.
people need to, it just feels like, certainly I know if I can't be the only one that needed to hear some of these things. I certainly ask the questions that I feel like a lot of people have asked and that I've had myself. And I just want to say I appreciate you so much for always being willing to dive in and explore things even more that we need at these times.
Of course, you're so welcome, and thank you for having me. I wanna share one parting thought, Elaine, aside from the fact that you're awesome, authentically awesome, and just a beautiful, beautiful soul, and I respect you so much and am so thrilled that we had a chance to share some time together today in this life. It's just great. Um, I do not have it all figured out, but I figure it out with intention every single day with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to go, fine, didn't work out, let's roll. So I don't want anybody listening to this thinking, oh, well, she's got it all figured out and I'm over here. Hell no, it is practice every day, every day. That mindset, that mindset is practice every day and it's a joy. And so that's what I want everybody to hear. And you can practice too. Just boils down to choice. That's all.
Absolutely. Cole, thank you so much. Hold on for 1 second.
Thank you.